navigate through it. In my navigating through it, I found myself um, underneath a table. I was found in the bathroom, curled up in the corner. I ended up having a nervous breakdown. That's what
Mhm.
they called it. And I knew things were going on even leading up to it. Uh, so I actually admitted myself in a mental institution. Now I'm 46 years old now, but even when I look back then, that going through that period of grief is what it was.
Welcome to Surviving and Thriving, the Black Experience. Here, we talk about the real adversities Black Americans face while navigating corporate spaces, educational institutions, and the justice system. We name the pressures, expose the barriers, and share strategies to help you adapt, endure, and move forward while protecting your peace. So, let's get into today's discussion. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Surviving and Thriving the Black Experience. I am your host, Candace Renee. Hey, everybody. And I am here with Grover. Hi, Grover.
Hello, hello, hello to you and your audience. What's up, y'all?
Here on Surviving and Thriving the Black Experience, we honor conversations about the real adversities people face while navigating corporate spaces, community, and life itself. And more importantly, the resilience it takes to move forward. Today's guest, Grover, brings a powerful blend of leadership, creativity, and purpose. Grover Stewart is a people centered leader whose works sits at the intersection of human resources, music, and entrepreneurship. As an HR professional, he is passionate about helping individuals and organizations thrive through leadership, cultural, and meaningful connections. Beyond the workplace, Grover is also a professional musician with more than 2 decades of performance experience, using music to connect people, uplift communities, and create shared human experiences. He's also, he is also the founder of From Seed to Sip, a plant based milk brand rooted in wellness, sustainability, and purpose. Watch out, almond brands. Across every space he enters, Grover's focus remains the same, serving others with authenticity, compassion, and intention. His life model says it best, assisting others with finding value in themselves while offering an inspirational experience. Grover, welcome to Surviving and Thriving the Black Experience.
I am so happy to be here. I've got goosebumps. Many of y'all, we've got history, and I'll tell
Mhm.
you when our conversations, just even if it's we don't have 2 3 minute conversations, Candice.
True.
When we go in, we get in and we go.
We go to the nooks and crannies at all of us.
Yes, we have a real conversation about real life experiences and how to navigate them, how we've lived through them.
Mhm.
And man, I'm just really, really excited to speak on the topics that you have, the questions that you have. Like, let's get into it. Yeah.
All right, all right. So while we're getting into it, you brought up a really good point of like how we get into like the good, the bad, the ugly, but also the blessing as well too. So I want you to think back and tell me about a moment in your life where you faced an adversity and how it changed you. Maybe like how did you find your footing like before finding that next thing to do?
Ooh, man, there are like parts to this. Uh, I faced adversity. Well, how about this? Uh, Especially when I look at it now, because my say the terminology and the perspective has changed, where what I looked at as inertia or adversity became growth opportunity. Let's say that. I'll say one of the major things in my 20s, we'll back up to that before I get into it, where my father, for me, was he was my everything. I mean, I looked up to this man. Man, he was like my mom said, man, your father is a man's man and is a lady's man.
Mm-hmm.
Where men love being around him because he was a man, but women love being around him because he was just this sweet, gentle, kind gentleman that
Mm-hmm.
still at the end of the day was all about my
Uh-huh.
mama.
That part.
And when I was 2021, my dad passed away. Um, and his passing away, I had individuals around me who transitioned, but this one hit
Mm-hmm.
hard. Uh, so when he passed away, I, I took it really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, and most people, what I heard back then, and I see it now, between that 3 to 6 month period, still this kind of like, did this happen? This is just trying to get through it. In my navigating through it, I found myself uh, underneath a table. I was found in the bathroom, curled up in the corner. I ended up having a nervous breakdown. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they called it. And I knew things were going on even leading up to it. Uh, so I actually admitted myself in a mental institution. Now I'm 46 years old now, but even when I look back then, that going through that period of grief is what it was. I didn't know what grief was. I didn't know how to process it. Besides, I'm this young man. Um, and my brothers, so I had two brothers. Well, it's 11 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
It's a lot.
and two of the brothers was like, man, one was like, dude, we don't cry. We don't show that type of emotion. Um, you need to figure this out, get it together and move on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had another brother who was like, oh no, we got to work through this. We got to learn to process this. So in learning, in hearing both sides, trying to process it, uh, I just, it just took a heavy toll on me. So
Mm-hmm.
I went into the mental institution, which was absolutely, it was good. Quite honest. I spent the night there the first night trying to figure out like what's going on. Like, and you know how you're in these, you see it in movies and you're in these rooms, you see these rooms where it's
Mm-hmm.
an all white room. There was nothing in there except for the walls and a bed.
Mm-hmm.
And they took my cell phone, they took everything I had. And
Mm-hmm.
I slept in that room that night. And that began the process of what was to come. And through that, I was in group therapy sessions. I
Mm-hmm.
was learning how to process the experience that I had. There was a lot of emotional things that were going on that I
Of
just didn't
course.
understand. And that was the first time that I ever had therapy. 21 years old. And to be able to sit with a therapist and talk about my feelings, what I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and how to, because everyone processes events and trauma and things of that nature differently.
Mm-hmm.
But reaching me in a way to talk with me about how to process this transition, this physical death of my father,
Mm-hmm.
and finally having therapy for the first time opened up the door for me to move forward. I've been in therapy ever since then.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important that we our mental health is so important. It is the foundation. Even
Mm-hmm.
loving yourself is the foundation of everything, but the mental health is crucial. And from that moment on, coming out of that, um, what I ended up calling my nervous breakdown, I ended up calling it my breakthrough. It changed my life. I began to experience, after coming out of it, began to experience this peace.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and from there forward, discovering that feeling, I was like, I gotta stay on this. And that was life changing for me. And having that happen, when I look back on it, even when I think about it from time to time, uh, even what came out of that, I started meeting different people
Mm-hmm.
that were assisting me with this whole, I'll say, state of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That state of consciousness, the state of awareness, the state of being. Start discovering books
Mm-hmm.
which I know at some point in time we'll probably talk about too as
Yeah.
well. But my whole life began, I'd start to see things and experience things so differently. And at the end of the day, there was one thing that I was able to grab and continue to just hold on to, and that's peace.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like to me that that piece came from having to process, as you said, and also having to just take some time to yourself. As you said, when you went into the institution, the first thing they did is they stripped you away from all the thing of the worldly things. They took every single thing from you for you to be in there with yourself and your thoughts, is what it sounds like. And how else can someone get to you except for when you have no choice but to sit?
So there is one uh, verse that comes to mind was is just be still and know that I am God. But there's that the beginning of it is be still and know. It's not be still and think
Mm-hmm.
or be still and worry, but be still and know. Um, and that has followed me, and it constantly comes back to me from then even till now,
Mm-hmm.
of uh this presence of like knowing that all is well and
Mm-hmm.
everything is working out for the greater good. And I really, really do lean on that. Uh, and it's funny as we encounter these life experiences uh, while we're here. You're like, wait a second, man. You know what? If I was able to make it through that, I can surely make it through this.
Yep. So you talk about those experiences, right? So can you
Mhm.
tell me, when you think about who you are today, like what parts of you were shaped by your community and what parts did you shape just on your own?
Man, I'm gonna tell you this: shaped by my community, grateful for both my parents, but my mom. Oh my goodness, when I was a kid, she was hardcore. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
hardcore, making sure
Mm-hmm.
I understood where I came from, who my people. So, see, here's the thing, and I learned this. I remember when we would uh, ride home from church because my father was a pastor, my mom was the first lady, but also minister music. And
Mm-hmm.
my dad would have to stay back sometimes, meeting with the deacons or counseling others or whatnot. He'd be in his office. My mom and I would be on our way home
Mm-hmm.
to uh, prepare dinner or just warm up the food that was
Right,
cooked or
right,
whatnot.
right.
And on the way home, I used to love this. My mom and I would listen to Minister Louis Farrakhan. She loved Farrakhan. And she's like, man, this is a powerful man. I love what he speaks about. I love how he talks about us as community and what we need to do, what we need to learn, and just to move forward. And I held on to that.
Mm-hmm.
And even as I've gotten older, I still listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But there was one thing that he said to me, and this actually um, bows with or pairs with what my mom when it comes to community, and also who we are as a people, where we come from, the achievements that we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I heard Minister Louis Farrakhan say this. He said, uh, knowing who you are and you as a people is so important. And this is just tattooed on my mind. Just him saying this was, you think about it, Candace, when we look at pictures and sometimes there are a group of others there and it's just
Mm-hmm.
one of us. You know what's important to me? I'm like,
What?
is that person? I want to know who they are. And I
Mm-hmm.
want, just like when we look at a picture, we take with a group of friends or we take who we're not looking at everybody else how everybody else look.
You ask, who is
We looking
that?
at us, we
Yep.
looking at ourselves. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
was my makeup, my glasses all right? Was my hat? Look, you know what I'm saying? So I take that to when I'm looking at pictures, I want to find out especially when I see us, who is that?
Mm-hmm.
They're the only one there, or it's just a few of them there. What is the
Mm-hmm.
contribution that they made? Look at the value. They're in there. And then, in this day and time, we go Google, you're like, wow, they they did this, they did that. And these are a lot of our, elders, individuals who have opened up the doors for us. So for me, growing up and learning community, I grew up in an environment where even within the community, it's like, and it's different today. We all looked out for each other, man. I mean, it was like when it came to eating, that's just food. You know how we are as Black people. Like we gather around some good eating. But one of the things when individuals were at our house, my my parents, especially my dad, would be like, when we eat, they eat. We look out for each other. We don't know what the next household may be going through, but he used to say this too: is all we got is each other. That's
Yeah,
it.
I grew up on that
So
principle as well.
that's something that we've seen through history of us. You
Hmm.
know, all we got is us. So community for me has been everything.
Hmm.
And seeing, and then also seeing in community is supporting each other. Where, look, supporting your program. This program is here to support individuals surviving and thriving, going through that from that survival stage to the thriving stage. So community has been everything to me. Um, Looking at us and just seeing where we come from, I lean on that and how everything we touch, we're the culture turns to gold.
Some of the hardest lessons in your career will never be in the handbook. They show up in silence, mixed signals, shifting expectations, and or when you're blamed for not knowing rules that nobody ever explained. Too many people walk into professional spaces thinking doing a good job is enough. But the truth, doing the job and understanding the environment are not the same thing. That's why I created Classes in Session The Real First 90 Days, a 3-part digital workbook series created to help you navigate what people should have told you from the very beginning. This workbook teaches you how to recognize what's really going on, protect yourself with strategy, communicate with more clarity, set those necessary boundaries, and most importantly, how to help you stop doubting yourself in spaces that were never designed to make things easy. And even if you didn't know that you needed this before, once you see the blueprint this workbook gives you, you'll understand exactly why it's absolutely a necessity. You can purchase each part separately or get the full bundle on my website or just click the link below. Get your copy today. Yeah, it absolutely does. I know you were talking about some of the lessons that were instilled within you, but what stuck out to you in regards to like lessons about manhood, for the better or for the worse?
And I remember when my dad, because he was much older, especially with us being 11 kids, man. I'm the last of them. So there were conversations that he was having with me in my teens. Like I'm 12, 13, 14, 15. He was like, look, man, this is how we operate as men. And I was most fortunate. I had nothing but really good men around me, really genuine, solid men. They played nothing but value in my life. And those conversations, not just from my father, but from other men that were around me, seeing how they stood on principle, seeing how they stood 10 toes down, and those characteristics that they display, those qualities such as discipline, you know, focus, uh, family focus, uh, making sure that being and even with men, it's like we're providers. We seek to provide. We want to provide. And seeing these individuals, the men around me, provide without complaint and with this endearment of love, this caring, like they want to see everybody around them, and even also the sacrifices that they would make to ensure that everybody around them was thriving and benefiting. That right there, no making no excuses, no alibis. That for me as a man, even when it's I'm tired, I've learned as a man, like you rest, but you don't quit. You can rest, and that all this is transferable, right? It's transferred into music, it's transferred into entrepreneurship, it's transferred even in on the human resources side, even in the day job and whatnot. It's like you can rest, man. You can sit down, you take a rest, but you don't quit. So that seeing men, and then just seeing the men in my community, black men, whether if they were on television, uh, and we grew up in a different time. Television was different. Seeing black men
Mhm,
be progressive, you
mhm,
know, and speaking with a voice and speaking confidently,
mhm.
that has all resonated with me. And I am so grateful that I have been able to experience that as a man. And then being able to provide mentorship, the same, I wouldn't say in the same capacity, but just being able to speak with younger men and talk with them about, you know, the importance of manhood and what we need to do, what we should be doing. I hate the shit that could have would on anybody, but like, hey, there are going to be times where you're going to face situations, um, but how about this? As a man to another man, we lean on each other. You need somebody to come talk to. Come on over. Let's chat. You know, and making it the conversation easy for them in a way, because for us as men, man, a lot of times we suffer in silence. We don't talk about the things that we're enduring. Um, I mean, there's historical uh, behaviors of that, and then even now is I'm seeing more and more, and I'm loving what I'm seeing, where it's like we're opening up about things that we're encountering, the heavy weights that we are carrying, and just being in a circle of men where we trust each other, and we can speak with transparency, but speak in a way where it is sacred conversations among each other. Safe, creating a safe space. So I'm really loving what I'm seeing, not with black men, but black women as well, where we're opening up the door, where we're having these conversations as community, because a lot of the things that we it's good that we are talking about now have been taboo. Such things that we didn't talk about, like mental health. We that was something that you didn't talk about, but now platforms like yours, where it's like we are able to express a black man and a black woman. Now, like, let's get into this. Let's have these conversations. Let's stop suffering in silence. And there's no need for us to be embarrassed or ashamed about some of the things that we've encountered. We may not have the same experience, the same journey, but a lot of our experiences can be the same. Let's talk about those things. So I'm grateful for the men, to your question, the men that have been in my life, that have showed the way. But I'm also grateful that I'm able to support other men and show the way as well.
I appreciate that because I had a previous guest, Miss Kimberly D. Worthy, who came on, and she talked about that representation in regards to, because I believe she's in the same generation as you, respectfully. She was talking about like living single and how
Yeah.
that showed women entrepreneurship, how that showed the complex dynamics in Black relationships as well too, and that taught quite a few lessons to women back then, and asking like, what do like my generation, which is 90s, right, and younger, what do we have, in regards to representation, especially for, I'm probably going to get this wrong, but I think is it Gen Z right now or Gen X or where we at? What letters? Like,
That's, we
we
got to Google that one.
we right. I'm like, we had one of these X, Y, Z. We had one of them. And what do they have? And I always talk about the concept of the Baddies franchise and all these other different franchise in regards to women expressing, I'm going to say lightly, expressing themselves and the values that they have, but they're not going back to the values that were created by the creator. What it's
Yeah.
doing is, in fact, teaching people to, in fact, be complacent with areas that need fixing and need some type of attention to.
Yeah.
So that's what I've in fact been thinking in regards to what people are seeing now. Interesting. I was just talking to Miss Demetrius about this too. She's one of my mentors. She was just telling me about this, about that as well. But it is such a blessing that you had so many great men and still have so many great men in your family in regards to what you said, standing 10 toes down. I think more recently we call it standing on business,
Business.
standing straight, 10 toes down, not caring in regards to, I don't care how this makes you feel. This is what's in fact right. And
Right.
I think
Exactly.
that those feelings
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
what causes the those feelings I feel is what makes someone either receptive or not receptive to a lesson.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny.
Mhm.
What I love, because we cannot, we should not, and I always say, I hate shoulda, coulda, woulda on anybody, but we have to remember when I look at pictures
Mhm.
of our ancestors,
Yep.
late 1800s, early 1900s, being dressed in those suits. Man, they were dignified people, man.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I mean, and even when I look at that, even now, I'm a visual person, audio as well, but visual individual. When I see that, it does something to me.
Hmm.
Uh, the things that they had to face to get us, even to where we're at now, because we're still progressing. Um,
Hmm.
but just the dignity that they had, and you think about 60s, 70s, uh, and even 80s, like there was something that was beautiful about shame. Man, I
Mm.
remember, when you walk out the house, you would get, when you walk out this house, even those conversations that we have at home, when you
Hmm.
leave this house, you represent the
You
Joneses,
represent
you
the, yep.
represent
Hmm.
the Stewarts, you represent the Smiths, you represent the Pattersons, whatever or whoever your family, wherever you came from, you represent this household. That spoke volumes to me. Not,
Hmm.
don't get me wrong, with your kids, you out, you playing, but there
Hmm.
was something about the respect.
Hmm.
Um, and what is that? Hear that respect on, put some respect on my
Put some
name. When
respect
we
on
put,
my name.
when we would put the respect on the name from where we came, that family lineage,
Yeah.
you know, um, and that respect was the behaviors, how we showed up,
Yeah.
how we spoke, you
Yep.
know, we took our time with the words that we used because we knew we had a demographic of a group of people already that we're facing. So
Hmm.
you know what? We have to, and we've seen it just through, when we talk about black communities that were on the rise and
Hmm.
unfortunate situations that happened because there were a multitude of black cities that were just that were just popping. But you even with that,
Hmm.
you're like, wow, man, these brothers and sisters, they stood on business.
Hmm.
We can't forget that. Cannot. Shame. That's why I'll go back to that shame, man. Like, don't you walk out this house looking like that. It was something.
It was something about it. You would turn right back around. You would do what you need to do. It would be a whole nother podcast for us to talk about the bonnet. The bonnet for that would be a
Yep.
whole nother conversation. Because I
I,
think I feel like there's um a duality to that because I would be hypocritical if I said on the woman's standpoint, right, that I had never gone outside with a bonnet on, that I had never gone to the store in some moccasins, pajama pants, and a shirt, you know. But I think what we forget is that just because some can do it doesn't mean that we can do it.
that's right.
And I think that I mean, I still to this day, I battle it. Even if I am like tired, I don't feel like getting to, because there is a such thing as just being fatigued.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a real thing. And I
For real.
think that for myself, that when I reach those spaces in regards to being fatigued, when I feel like, okay, if I feel like if I have to like triple think about like what someone is about to say, because it's the duality part, I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel that I should have to do that. But we live in a world where we do. We have to, in fact, think because, as you said, in regards to that ancestral touch, right? That ancestral wisdom, I'm gonna try to say it so that my channel don't get blocked for saying it this way, but um we were proud. There was a sense of pride in being an uppity letter. There was a sense of pride in being able to put on those clothes, create your own clothes, sew your own clothes, and do all these different
Yes,
things. There
yes,
was a sense of pride and community in that.
yeah,
Um, but I think that in the generations that we have right now, I'm gonna say after the 90s going into the 2000 realm, and especially in regards to the generation I've seen, like with my own niece and what they deem as important, it's been lost.
yes, yes,
Um, Creating something that belongs to you has been lost.
yeah,
Understanding the struggle of the past has been lost. I've and not to go too in depth, but I've talked on this channel a few times of me having my grandmother's home, who was a hoarder, who had several boxes of material, and I didn't
okay,
understand, like, why would she have all these materials? Like, that don't make sense. You could just go back to the stove. My grandma was born in 1940 or 41. She's gonna come
okay.
back and get me for that. 40 or 41. And long story short, with that, I had to realize, because I was living in a fantasy world at the time when everything was happening with her passing and stuff, because she was the matriarch. But after I had to sit here and have a humble, like, understanding, it was painful to realize
Yeah,
that my grandmother had all those things, were hoarding things, because there was a time that I didn't live in, that time period of where you couldn't get those things.
man, come on
it's
now.
it's a it's a different mindset, and she
Yeah,
lived through it and had my mother, of course, and then me after, to where those type of things we forget about. I saw so many magazines, I saw so many newspapers, and the that community of, it was so many, anything that someone who was black, when they did something, she kept.
oh my God, I got
So
goosebumps. I
so
love that.
I truly resonate with that early lessons in
Yeah,
regards to, for young ladies, I should say. I understand it, but I also understand that pride that you're talking about, and
yeah,
that worth piece,
yeah,
because
yeah,
people identify your worth the moment you walk through that door. You don't have to say anything with your mouth. You can be
yeah.
the smartest, degreed, everything else.
Right.
But if
That's
you are
right.
walking in a space as a young lady with that
Yeah,
bonnet,
that's right.
as that man with your pants under your butt,
Come on now.
they don't care.
Don't
And
care.
we don't
There
we
is a
don't want to act no more like it doesn't
yes,
exist. So
yes.
so yeah.
No, no. I love this. I do want to back up.
Hmm. Feel free.
Mad props to your granny. Mad props to
Yes.
your grandma.
Oh, Beria, yes.
You know why I love that is because and that's the thing. We have to continue to learn to celebrate each other. You
Hmm.
know, with your grandmother collecting newspapers and you look through those and you see successful black people, inventors,
Yep.
uh, individuals. Besides, like, I mean, you hear a lot, especially today in time. We talk about music, sports, music, sports. Let's talk about inventions,
Hmm.
and even if it was in a small town, that where this individual was able to move that town forward, or they were 89 years old and they went back to school and they got their bachelor's degree, and you look in an article, you're like, this is Myrtle did that.
Hmm.
Yes, it celebrating each other, seeing, putting us up on a pedestal, like, look, they did it. And if they can
Hmm.
do it, I can do it. And it doesn't necessarily be the same way. This is inspiring me to go on and do my thing. And even today, as you and I, on our and in our entrepreneurial journeys, it's uplifting each other.
Absolutely.
Even when we're running in a different space,
Yep.
like, how can we support each other? How can we show up for each other? That speaks volumes. And that is another thing that I've seen and I lean on community wise, that us just being there. Because the thing is, and I've of course, we can learn from other groups of people. And I've looked at other groups of people and like, wow, okay, you know what? I like that. They know that everybody in that community may not be a multi-gazillionaire, but
Hmm.
when they come together and they put their minds together on getting this monument built or this building. I don't want to speak about the different. I don't want to go into that,
I
but
understand.
just different. You know,
Yeah. Hmm.
I want to keep your platform as clean as possible. When I just say
That's a
groups of
squeaky.
yeah, groups of people,
Yes.
it's like we can learn from that. You know what? Let's come together and get this built, get this taken care of, and move on to the what's
Hmm.
the next. So our upliftment, which we've seen that throughout our history of each other, like we got to lean on that, man, and continue not to, we're the foundation of everything.
Yep.
But at the same rate, when I see somebody else that looks like me,
Hmm.
that's very important to me. When I see you succeeding, I'm all in for you. I want to see you thriving for real. That's
Hmm.
it. Because comparison is the thief of joy. And that's when we talk about that in the past, that's another thing that I've learned is, man, I want to hold on to that joy, that peace, you know. And my joy and peace comes from looking at you and seeing the divinity within you, you know. Getting back to that when we see each other, when I see us and I'm out, I smile and I speak, even if we don't speak back. No, I don't know what your day is like. I don't know what you're going through, but you just acknowledging somebody's presence or just a smile. You don't know how that's going to help the next person. We don't.
That's
You know?
that is so true. I resonate with that in regards to being a reciprocal olive branch.
Mm-hmm.
That is in fact what I see it as when you were talking about that collective having pretty much a collective mindset. We can see it now in the space we live in, good and or bad, right? What a collective mindset can do. So, if
Mm-hmm.
anything, I would tell people because when I say literally good and bad, people should be taking notes. I
Yeah.
have taken
Come on.
plenty. You better take
Yes.
them notes. You better be quick to listen and slow to speak and
Yeah.
listen.
Yes.
I think that's absolutely what's in fact happening now. But I want to go into, or I still kind of want to dive into um, specifically Black men, right? So I want to, because I feel like there are other questions kind of tie into this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that Black men are allowed to be complex, or do you still feel that you have to fit in a narrow box? And if there's a narrow box, right, where does that parameter for that box, where does that lie?
Ooh. Okay. I would say the tide has been turning and the
Okay.
tide has been changing. Just speaking as a black man myself, and I can recall, even those conversations, be yourself, but it's this thing where it's, all this is going on outside of you.
Yes.
Uh, you're wanting to fit in, and then you realize you don't fit in.
Hmm.
uh, and,
Speaking to the
for
choir,
real.
Lord.
It's like I don't care how much you try to fit in on you get in where you fit in. You remember that phrase, get in.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like learning to get in where you fit in. And I can see this tremendous tide that has taken place and taking place and the changes where now, brothers, we're able to have conversations centered around what we think
Mm-hmm.
and how we feel. And again, going back to that, there's something, a universal cosmic order, if I'm okay to speak about
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
There's this change that I've been noticing that's been taking place from the 2000s up until now. There's this shift of awareness that's been taking place. And and I'm glad that we are having conversations Um, and my goal is to stay on topic here. I know I may
It's
jump
fine.
here
You're
and there, but
fine. You are. This is your space. Go right ahead.
about relationships, um, from male to female, sister to sister, brother to brother.
Mm-hmm.
But I am really really happy with what I'm seeing. Is there growth? Are there growth opportunities that still need to take place? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but the hard conversations are happening. For me, even with the brothers that I'm around, um, even with those conversations, is not getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we still need to gain momentum from these conversations that we're having and move forward. And we still need to keep that momentum going, but let's execute. Let's put action behind the conversations that we are having. Complex. I think there's like you stated, the duality or there's sides to it. I still see that there is a side where we as black men, because sisters go through it too, where you in this space, corporate spaces. Let's even speak about the job corporate
Mm-hmm.
space, where because I know what it's like. You're the only one. The things psychologically that you deal with in those spaces. And I'm speaking of that just personally, but also as an HR practitioner as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Man, those spaces can can take a toll on you. And again, this comes back to it where now I'm grateful because even with the different organizations that I'm a part of and collaborate with, and even people that come from out of these organizations, there are brothers around that create this space where
Mm-hmm.
we can navigate through situations that are occurring. But I hope and let's visit this some more. I want to go back to just go back into your question just a little bit more for me.
Are men allowed in regards to still be complex, or are you still having to fit into a narrow box? That's what it was.
Yeah, narrow body. Okay, so yeah, I touched on that. Yeah, yeah, where the now depending on the workspace, the workplace, depending on the group of individuals who we surround ourselves with. I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
it's
No, you're okay. It was my fault because I had like put an arrow for the next one and put notes next to it as you were talking, and then I'm like,
no, no,
wait,
no.
what up?
No, all good, all good. No, um, I think there are still complexities that are there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think with the shift that is going on in our environment, also, um, there's a change with these complexities,
Mm-hmm.
and we're opening it up more. Uh, there's still work that needs to be done, first on self, because as an individual, being a strong individual, when you being strong for the team first, you're working on yourself. So when
Mm-hmm.
you are in that atmosphere and you're put in community and you're sharing, you make the team stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm definitely seeing the conversations, and this also goes back to our political environment that we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm seeing brothers like saying, no, yes, no, we're taking a turn. We're going to do things differently. No, my conversation is changing and speaking out more. I'm loving what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I'm loving the growth and development. I really am. I'm loving the change, even in the workplace, even where there's just a few of us sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Being able to meet in private or to going to the bar after and being
Mm-hmm.
able to have certain conversations, how we can move through these spaces and not be so complex. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's a good time to be. It's a good time to be alive.
That's it. I think that's great. I think having that camaraderie, having those relationships, and being able to have that breath and that sigh of relief that you have someone who can understand like the complexities of being a black man,
Yeah,
being able to speak with someone, and or if it's someone of a different race in that aspect, having that person humble themselves enough to be able to understand that even though I'm not experiencing this, that does not invalidate your story and what's going
yeah,
on with you. Because while
yeah,
I'm not living it, I can imagine if this happened, how I would feel in that circumstance.
yeah.
Um, do you feel that there's something that black men are still misunderstood and that conversations don't happen, and or that they can speak about honestly?
Mm, okay. a good question. Speaking about honestly is our relationships with Black women.
Okay.
Yeah. And that tide is changing as well because I know and I saw it. I remember it. And it's funny because my wife and I we talk about it. We
Hmm.
remember because we're both like, I'm 46 years old, man. We grew up uh I don't want no scrub. It's like, man, you like, man, like seeing brothers just get tossed around on these talk shows back in the
Mhm.
80s and 90s and like, man, like we got other groups of people that are against us.
Mhm.
We got to deal with our own women, but now it's like I'm seeing brothers. We had these conversations. Even this me coming from as a married man and being
Mhm.
able to talk to my wife and like, "Hey, this is what I need from you. This is and that's another thing too is talking about what we think because men like it's like not necessarily the feelings is what we think. We just want to be heard about like this is what I'm thinking, you
Mhm.
know. Also, and then women, this is how I feel.
Mhm. Complete opposite. Complete opposite.
That,
Yeah.
but it's that I want what I'm looking for is that one word. What I need from you is understanding.
Understanding. Yep.
I
Understanding.
just need for you to understand me. I'm not. We can agree to disagree. You don't have to agree with me. And if you do, I think that's right. That's good. But I just need, I'm 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 needing understanding from you.
Yes.
And that's again us having these conversations as brothers. Even I mean, the thing is, even having to have them over and over um about, hey, sister, this is what I need from you. I just need for you to. I'm gonna tell you one of the things that I am most grateful for being an HR practitioner and then working in these spaces. Uh, a lot of times being the only brother me, is where I have sisters' attention, creating a safe, trusting environment where we can have good conversation,
Mhm.
where we're listening to each other, to be able to give constructive feedback. Um, and be able to be a sounding board. And again, I use this word a lot, navigate, guidance,
Mhm.
to provide guidance and to seeing where, again, there's change that has been taking place where it's like, you're not just, you're listening to me.
Mhm.
Good. You know, because good communication is also active. It's like being able to actively listen, but then also being able to um, regurgitate and tell back like
Mhm.
this is uh, um, uh, this is what you mean by this. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So I've been seeing, and I guess it also comes down to perspective. I'm seeing a lot of changes, and I'm loving that. I'm loving the change that I'm seeing with brothers and us just having conversation. Y'all, hey, hey, this is what we need. This is what we need. I know you all tell us all the time. This is what you need from us, and guess what? Showing up in this area, showing up in this space.
Right.
Look, we're companions. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.